So welcome. So glad that you have joined me today for this webinar, how you can start a successful business as a photo manager, or how to turn your love of photos into a business. Oops. So 20 years ago, no one had heard of professional business coaches, personal trainers, home organizers, but today they're kind of household concepts, right? The same will soon be true for professional photo organizers, because these types of services have grown, right? Because people are so busy and are looking for help. And a growing number of people are looking for meaningful work that provides them with flexibility and income growth. And it's been a perfect match. So the need for professional photo organizers has grown because, one, our mobile devices have become the camera in our hands at all times, resulting in over 1 billion digital photos taken yearly. So while our ability to take photos and videos in an instant has accelerated, the technology to help us decide which are worth keeping has not kept pace. Look at what we just saw in those few minutes of chat, right? And when you ask people how they feel about their photo collection, the words that we hear over and over again are overwhelmed, frustrated, helpless. In fact, 12 years ago, when I started this organization, people would look at me puzzled and skeptical. And today, like, you do what? And today, everybody says, oh my God, that's a thing, or I need you. So in fact, just some recent research, it's called Rise Above Research, recently reported that the number of photos captured globally has continued to grow, estimating that 1.6 trillion photos will be taken in 2023. That represents a 7.5% increase from 2022. And that growth is expected to continue, driven by the popularity of smartphones. I joke, this gives us job security, right? But not only do we have too many digital photos, people also still have boxes and bins and drawers and photo albums full of analog photos that need to be curated and digitized and scanned right for the future. And along with those boxes of analog photos are often family home movies on lots of formats that are no longer accessible. Who has a VCR, right, or a camcorder anymore? Then people will find kids' artwork, old newspaper articles, letters, meaningful memorabilia from the past. All of those compose of the projects that photo managers do. So how many of you can relate to what I just said in terms of what kind of memories that you all have, right? So today's agenda is going to be, I'm going to talk about why the work of what we do matters, what actually a professional photo organizer does, who we are as the photo managers, and how joining the photo managers provides a kind of a solution for you, a business in a box, a way to get started. And we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. So first, then, let me introduce myself. I am Kathy Nelson, the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers. We are a global educational association that offers classes, an annual conference, professional certification, and a very, very supportive, engaged community for this growing profession. I'm also the author of 2 books, Photo Organizing Made Easy, Going from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed, and a business roadmap for professional photo organizers, everything you need to grow and start a thriving photo organizing business. So that's kind of my formal introduction, but let me tell you a little bit about why organizing photos is so important. I was the person always in my family that took the photos, that wanted to save the family stories, that would make photo albums or calendars as gifts and pore over old photo albums, fascinated by the people who came before me. And so as I thought about that over the years, I realized this quote sums up the why perfectly. There have been great societies that did not have the wheel, but no societies that did not tell stories. So this is the heart of why the work we do matters, right? Our photos tell the stories of our lives. They're our connection to family, to the friends, to the past. They're a message to the future. But if your photos are completely disorganized, if you can't find the photos that you care about because they're lost in a sea of digital data or in a box, you can't tell the stories you care about. So that's the reason why people hire professionals to help them, right? They hire somebody because their photos are a mess. They have thousands and thousands on their phone and they realize that it's not backed up, like they lose their phone or something happens. Then we have a lot of people who wonder, do my kids really want these family photos? They have old home movies they haven't seen in decades. Increasingly, we see people who are experiencing floods, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, hard drive crashes, and they realize, oh my gosh, my photos are at risk of disappearing forever, and I would be devastated if I lost those photos. A lot of times people will hire a photo manager because a family member has been suddenly diagnosed with, early stage dementia or a terminal illness. And suddenly people realize, wow, this time is short. I need to get these stories and photos in some kind of order for me to know who people are. A more joyful reason is one that I'm actually in the process of really getting myself more organized, and I have been, is because my son is getting married, and I'm really in September, and I'm excited to create that, video montage of him growing up and her growing up, and then meeting and the tears and that will fall as we all like watch that video, right? So that's another common time when somebody realizes, wow, I need to get my photos in order of some sort because I want to have something meaningful to share at an event that's coming up. So the point of this is there are hundreds of thousands of people looking to hire somebody. So what are the types of services that photo organizers offer? But before I do that, I wanted to mention this, what we call the critical takeaway, is that I'm going to go through a lot of services. You don't need to offer all of these to be an expert. It's impossible, right? You're going to eventually, if you pursue this business, find the area that you care most about. We always say, do what you love and outsource the rest. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And it's more than okay to start a business, even if your own photos aren't organized, because a lot of people get hung up on the idea that I can't do this. But again, that the shoemaker has no shoes, or doctor heal themselves, or all those things. I mean, if you have a passion about stories and families and photos, it's okay. And if you have any employee experience, it will help you as you're now going to be stepping into the world of being an entrepreneur, right? Starting your own business requires an entrepreneurial mindset, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So here are some of the typical services, just a quick overview that people offer when they do this business. Organizing printed photos, right? So many people still have boxes of printed photos, slides, and negatives that need to be organized so they can be scanned for the future. This work can be done often in person with a client, but many of our members at this point will pick up large bins. We have lots of photographs of them picking up boxes and bins of clients' photos and bringing them back to their home offices, where then they go through the process of organizing that and getting them ready to be scanned so that they can be shared and enjoyed into the future. Now, you may be wondering, how can you organize somebody's photos that you don't know about? It's not that difficult. We use family timelines, and really, it's not a mystery of what people take photos of, and there's a whole process that you can go through. And we provide all the forms and experience and the training on how to do that. But this is a very common thing. We also recommend to clients that they don't scan every photo in those boxes and bins. It's expensive, and they're just recreating the same mess digitally that they had in analog printed photos. So we recommend, best practice is that you scan the photos that you care most about for the future, not every photo that you ever took. A next part of the business a lot of people do is scanning, right? So that, like I was just talking about. So for a little overhead, you can get entry into scanning. Scanning is provides a digital backup copy, and it helps ensure that family photos are safe for future generations. It requires some basic equipment, and it could be a great entry point. For just a little overhead, you get a great return. And so, in fact, many members do start with scanning, and I want to stress this point. You can start with just a basic flatbed scanner. We recommend the Epson Perfection V600. It costs around $299. I think it varies a little bit, but that's around the price point. And will that be a little tedious and take time if you have somebody gives you 2,000 or 3,000 photos? Yes. There are speed tools that you can eventually invest in based on where you are in your business and how much money you want to start putting out. A lot of people will add the Epson Fast Photo, but that's also can have some problems that can get dirty easily, have a lot of dust on it. And eventually people will upgrade to doing something called camera scanning. And we have courses that teach you about that. But again, we want to stress that it's okay to just start with a simple, basic flatbed scanner if you're going to start with this in a scanning as part of your services. Digital photo organizing now is one of the fastest growing services our members provide because of how big that problem is, right? One of our members, Jordan Babion, loves to say that the average family now has the same number of digital assets a small business did just a few years ago, and they're now becoming aware of it. They're also becoming aware of, again, Costco just also canceled their entire photo service center, and Shutterfly is making those changes. And, I could make a list of companies that have come and gone over the years. And I think the consumers, we're beginning to realize that we can't count on these places where we assumed our photos were safe. And so people are really looking for answers, like, what do I do so this doesn't happen to me? In fact, also, there's a saying that the most photographed generation in history is most at risk of losing their photo heritage, because who can possibly sort through those millions of screenshots and selfies to find the few that matter? So what a photo organizer does is consolidates get all those photos from all those different places and get them into one place, what we call a digital hub, usually on an external hard drive, remove the duplicates using duplicate removing software, add keywords, create a backup, and then recommend a cloud service or online gallery and return their photo collection organized to the client. So I'm going to take a guess that most of you listening haven't organized large amounts of digital photos before. That's why we say, are you tech savvy? That means not that you have to know how to use everything, but the good news is if you're open to learning and you don't mind learning new skills, then this is a great profession, right? You won't be learning alone. Lots of people are learning alongside of you. And some of the programs that our professionals use include Adobe Lightroom Classic, or if they're working just with Mac clients, an understanding of Mac, the photo ecosystem. But that's something that you grow in your learning. And it's a slow process initially, but you're learning and people will pay you because they don't want to learn that. And it requires learning because it's not something that can be done. It's not simple, which is why there's great job security for us. Now, the next thing that a lot of people love to do, though, is this, what we call creative sharing photos. Once all those critical steps are completed, people need to do something fun with their photos, right? Like, who cares if you have an external hard drive filled with organized photos? People want to see their photos. And this is the fun part where you can make photo books, video slideshows, online photo galleries, photo calendars, and gifts. The possibilities are endless in what people do with that. Oops. Back. Sorry. Oh, wrong direction. Sorry about that. My mouse is sensitive today. Okay, I mentioned sharing photos. There are other things that photo managers do, which is home movie conversion, genealogy research, video montages for special events. Some people focus on large families or business archives. One of our members is working with a junior women's league in Miami to help them prepare for their 50th anniversary. My son actually now does this business full time, and he just got a call from yesterday from Black & Decker. They found him online to scan all of their past archive of company reports and things like that. So, I mean, there's so many different surprising opportunities that come your way. And again, I want to mention those 3 takeaways that I know I just quickly ran through a bunch of ideas. You don't need to do all of those or be an expert. It's going to be impossible. And it's okay to start your business if your photos aren't organized. And as long as you have a willingness to try new things, fail and try again, this is the right career for you. So let's talk about the photo managers, who we are and why what we do has been integral to the success of this growing profession. We are a global organization. We have members all over the world that serve professional photo organizers through training, certification, partnerships, and educational conferences. We currently have about 700 professionals who all share the same passion, a desire to help businesses and families curate their photo collections so they can share their stories. So to become a member of the photo managers, why am I doing this with my... The fee is $175 a quarter, or you save $100 and you can pay annually. And we give you access to all the support, training, and resources. So we kind of call that a business in a box, right? We don't actually send you a box, but since I started this organization over 12 years ago, the goal has always been to give people access to the best training and tools so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and figure everything out by yourself. And we have 2 core value mission statements. A rising tide lifts all boats, and we are collaborative, not competitive. And that's the truth. There's no competition in this field yet. We're decades away from there ever being too many photo organizers. It's the opposite problem, really. There's not enough people to serve the people that need their help. And so the benefits of membership, we try and summarize them in everybody wants to have an acronym, right? We call it the 5 C's. And I'm going to just take you through these 5 C's right now. The first one is what we call the core foundation, right? When starting a business, you need a core foundation of knowledge. And if you've never started a business, you're going to need some help with that, right? Our business foundation class takes you all through all the steps from naming your business to onboarding your first client. So the first thing that you can do when you join is start going through these classes. And we talk about what are the business startup costs, how to choose the services, how to set yourself up with pricing, what does a workflow look like, how to plan your customer journey, how you find clients, and a final checklist. The goal is once you go through this whole course, you should have your first client and be paying yourself back for your cost of membership. The cost of this course is $149 if you were purchasing it separately, but it's included in your membership. We also send you a copy of my best-selling book, Photo Organizing Made Easy. So you'll get that in the mail within a month or so of being a member. And then we have what we call business resources in a training vault. So every month we do, actually this year we're doing 2 training webinars that are relevant to different levels of your business. For instance, I think it's Tuesday or Monday, we're doing one on proper ergonomics. We've actually hired a physical therapist because when you're doing repetitive tasks like scanning or working on your computer, there's certain skills you should know about how you set up your desk and things. So we're bringing that as a webinar training. But we also do deep dives in like how to dedupe your photos and why it matters, or so each month those are webinars included in your membership. They're free. We have a training vault of all the past webinars that we've ever done that you can access to. We also have a new member roadmap, like, the steps you need to take to be successful. And we're going to connect you with other members, new members, as soon as possible, because it's much more fun to start a business with others than doing it by yourself. We also have a community presentation called Creating a Photo Legacy. So people say, well, how do I find my first clients? And one of the ways we talk about that is you can go to your local community centers, libraries, historical societies. People are always looking for a topic on photo organizing. And we've actually created a PowerPoint. We have everything done for you. You just download it, read through the script, personalize it, and you can be offering a talk, which is going to way to start to market your business within days of being a member. So those are kind of just an example of some of the things that we make sure that we provide for our members. Our next C from the core training is credibility. So managing someone else's photo collections can be scary for you and the customer. So early on, I knew that establishing a strong code of ethics and best practices was critical to ensuring our credibility as a trusted experts. And so we have established that. We have a strong code of ethics that we expect our members to adhere to. And we also have what we call best practices. What DPI should you be scanning at? A whole series of things like that. And we teach this continually throughout your membership experience. We also establish professional certification. So this is a course that you take. Doesn't take long to go through the course, but it will increase your knowledge and understanding of our best practices. And then the way that the process is, we want you to work with a paying client, not a family or friend, and you document the process from start to finish. Sometimes this could take a month or two. Sometimes it can take longer. There's no rush to when you have to have this done. But once you document that process, you upload that information to us. We do an interview. We check your references. We do an interview with you. And then you're officially certified, which means we turn on your profile so the public can find you. And this has been very important. We've never had a complaint so far in 12 or coming up on 14 years now with the photo managers from an outside client, right? You're your own business. We are not, so you run your own business, but nobody has ever come to us. And I think a lot of that's the importance of the certification, because it is such personal work. And it's just a key component of the process of being a photo manager. The next C is what we call community. One member summed it up best this way. She said, so many of us work independently and don't have coworkers to bounce things off of or help desk to call with questions. The photo managers have been all of that for me. As Casey said, doing this alone can be difficult. With the photo managers, you're not alone. You have a community of hundreds of other professionals from all walks of life and experience ready to help. We have a members-only Facebook group that's like having a 24-hour on-call tech team to help you. It's a community where you can ask questions safely anytime. And we also have a public one that some of you may know about. You may be on that, called the Photo Organizing Hub. It's different from this one. This one, it gets very much into the specifics of working with clients and all sorts of things like that. And the other thing that we started this past year is what we call regional groups and meetings, so that we've divided the country and the world up. We have our European group. We have an Australia-Asia group where the members get together once a month. It's a volunteer run by members who have giving up their time. And every month, your regional group will have a Zoom meeting. So it's a chance for you to meet other members kind of in your region. Because we don't have enough members, our regions are fairly large. Like I think Texas encompasses Texas, Arizona, and maybe Colorado. I forget, right? I mean, it's definitely, they're large regions. But it's a great way for you to connect. As soon as you join, we make an introduction to our regional leader, and you'll get invitation to join their Zoom meetings with them. We also hold what we call a member huddle, which is kind of a networking meeting virtually at the last, I think Thursday or Friday of every month. And we give you themed topics like, what's your elevator pitch? Or what's the advice I'd give myself if I was just starting out? How do you answer the question of how much will this cost? Again, the purpose of these kind of experiences where lots of members come together and share by table to table, we use a fun program called Remo, is again, this idea that you're really not in business by yourself. There's other people who are wrestling with the same things you're going to be wrestling with. And building that sense of community is really a great way to build your own sense of confidence in the work that you're doing. And so that brings us to our fourth C, which is, our annual conference in terms of community. Every year, this will be our 11th conference. It'll be in Orlando. And we also do it virtually. We learned after COVID that we could shift quickly and do a virtual conference. So every year, we actually have an in-person conference now. And then 4 weeks later, the whole conference is repeated virtually, and for the people that can't travel. And so we love our conferences. It's a blast. We're deep into planning for our Orlando event. And it's when our exhibitors come, lots of companies come, Sony Cameras always comes, Epson, there's so many different companies that'll be there. So this is a great way that we continue to build community with each other. And so the next C is competency. So our goal, right, is to increase your competence in this profession. So the good news is that you get the benefit of those that have paved the way. So we also include 3 courses in your membership to help you feel confident when the time is right. We have one called the Building Blocks of Digital Photo Organizing. Again, you can purchase that separately for $3.99, but it's included in your membership. And here we talk about what are digital imaging basics? What does a digital photo organizing workflow look like? How do you diagnose and treat an unhealthy photo system? And so these are taught by our experienced members who noticed that there was a lack of information. Peter, who does this, came to us and said, I think the community would, based on the questions on Facebook, would do really well with just a really good basics on digital photo organizing. As a professional photographer for decades, he could see that people didn't really understand different topics. So this course was recreated. We created the same course around clients' printed photos, because a lot of people will approach this like, well, I'll just organize somebody's printed photos like I do my own. That's not an efficient workflow because you're trying to increase your efficiencies and things. So Sandra Williams, who has been a member for a long time from Infinity Photo Solutions, created this course and takes you through the process of how she took, as I mentioned, you usually get boxes and bins of things of a client's photos into an organized photo collection. So that's part of your membership as well. We also have something called Business Systems for Success. So you're going to need time to increase your efficiency, because you don't want to do the same work. You don't want to, every time you get a new client, you don't want to be thinking, oh, what do I do? Do I send when do I send a contract? You want to have systems. And so we hired a business systems expert who went through this training, and it's how do you onboard new clients? Why do you need standard operating procedures? How do you manage money? Now, all these courses are available to you, and you will not start watching all of them right away. Over the course of your building your business and things, you don't need standard operating procedures, maybe 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years in before you maybe come and access this kind of training. But it is here for you to access when you need it. Also, another way that we build competency is that every September is what we call Save Your Photos Month. And we provide you with all the tools to host your own event or participate in our events. We started this over 8 years ago in response to, I think, Hurricane Sandy and some other tornadoes. Who knew that it was going to get increasingly more common? But it's also a chance for us to give back into the community. So we create a presentation, we have press releases, and you can bring this kind of teaching into your own community, which is a way, again, for you to establish your credibility. And the good news is it's a turnkey situation. So you don't have to create the graphics and think through what are you going to say and things like that. We provide all of that for you. Another benefit of membership, as far as the C of collaboration, is we also have wonderful partners who really are invested in having a relationship with you. Archival Methods, Nixplay, Forever, Sony, there's so many of them. We have a booklet where you have, so for instance, Nixplay gives you a 20% discount with a special code so that you can purchase, digital photo frames at a discount for your clients, and then either charge them full retail, or, give them that 20% discount. And it goes like that with all of these different companies. And we have quite a few of them that are here to work with you and to make your jobs easier. And they're really invested in your success. So that's a great benefit of membership. And many of them will be at our conference as exhibitors. So in summary, you can join the photo managers. It's $175 a quarter, or you save $100 and pay $599 annually. And we know that it's important for people to have a little bonus. So this month, our bonus is if you join by the end of the month, we're going to give you a free snapshot pass. And so what that is our educational conference. We have over 20 breakout sessions, and I'm going to see. I'm going to go to our conference page just so you can see it here, and then you can go there. Here are the list of the 20 and I think Isabel's probably dropping this in the chat so you can get an idea of what the breakouts are. But you can choose for $49. It's our snapshot pass. You can choose any of these classes for free that you can watch during our virtual conference in May. And you'll also be able to attend all of our networking meetings. So we do quite a bit of time where you can get together with other people. Or we will give you a $49 discount on coming to the conference in person in Orlando. So I know it may seem like, well, that's a long time away. It's not until May, but you won't, you don't even know what course you probably want to take until you've been doing the business for a little while. And so by May, you'll have a good idea. And so we'll include that for free in your membership if you enter Snapshot in the notes at checkout. So what are your next steps? We've got plenty of time here for Q&A, but I recommend that you can order and read, starting a business as a photo organizer. Do some market research ask people, do an informal survey with your family and friends. Say, I've just learned about this business. I'm thinking about it. What do you think? We've had a lot of people, when they do that, they already get people saying, well, I would hire you. So that's kind of a fun way to get started. We have our YouTube channel where you can watch, every month, for the past 2.5 years or so, we've interviewed members from all different walks of life about their career advice they'd give to somebody just starting. And so you can go back and watch different ones. Last month, we interviewed Allison Friedman. She'd been a member for 2 years. She was a former attorney. She does a great job about what the experience has been like. This month, we are interviewing Adriana, who's from Brazil. I think it's Brazil, yeah. And so she's one of our South American members. And so we've interviewed retired people that are doing this as a second act career retirement, people that are looking to do it as a full-time business, people that are doing it as a side gig. So there's lots of different opportunities for you to watch people giving you their real life experience about that. We also suggest that you, if you're, understanding how much can I earn, research the average hourly rate for service providers in your area. So you start to get an idea of what the hourly service fee is. I'm going to tell you it's going to range anywhere from a low of $55, $60 to a high of $150 or higher, depending on where in the country you live. And this idea of putting together a one-page business plan is just a suggestion I had is to just, you can Google like a one-page business plan, and it just helps you get your thoughts onto paper about what your goals are, what you hope to achieve. And so those are some ideas about next steps. So that is the end of this presentation, and we have plenty of time now for Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn my screen back on. And Isabel, do we have questions from people in the audience?
Yes. The first question is, what sort of revenue can photo managers typically expect to make in their business?
That's a great question. So the answer to that is going to vary, but we just did a survey for the first time, and at the end of December, we've never really surveyed people, and we had 99 members responded, which I think gives us a really good. It's going to matter if you're doing this full time or part time, obviously, but within the first year, most people, the members reported earning, 10 to 15,000 or so was kind of an average, because they're really ramping up their learning curve. One person I think did say they earned 36,000. People that have been in business in 2 to 5 years are more in the $30 to $45,000, $55,000 range, and starting at that point to hire a subcontractor. Because once people are in business 5 more years, we had over 14 members say they were earning over $100,000 a year. I am positive those members have people that either employees or subcontractors that they have trained at a lower hourly fee to do. Maybe they're scanning for them or things like that. So again, it really depends on whether you're doing this part-time, full-time, and what it is. But those are just, that's the first time we've kind of done that survey. And we did see, obviously, the longer people were in business, the higher incomes they were reporting as their experience, their efficiencies, and all those things increased.
And can you share again the name of the Epson scanner that you referenced?
Oh, the Epson V600, right? That's the one we always suggest. There's a
Yes, I
V600,
believe that
V800.
one.
Yeah. the
I'll
600.
also post a link in the chat for a great blog post that we have on 3 of the scanners that we usually recommend.
There are others, but those are just the ones that most people have, recommended the most that we're familiar with.
We don't have any other questions right off the bat.
Quiet group.
How many members do we have in the organization, photo managers?
We have about, 650 to 700 or so. It ranges as people come and go. We average about 20. I think last month we had 22 new members. We do a new member orientation. This month, I think we've already have 8 or 9 new members. So the last Friday of every month, we really are encouraging members to come into that new member orientation and to start connecting with each other as soon as possible, because it really does make a difference if you're kind of starting out with somebody. We have members in Canada. We have a great, strong Canadian group. We have a strong, solid core group in Europe, in Australia. South America is still like 3 or 4. It's pretty small. And many members have been members for many years. So we don't have a lot of what we call churn or turnover from members. I mean, if people are serious about doing this as a business, we have many members have been with us from the beginning.
And as far as camera scanning goes, what sort of equipment is required for that?
We have a great course that's $199, I think, for camera scan that goes through all the specifics. You're going to need a good digital SLR, and then there's different lighting and different things that I personally have not done camera scanning, but it's only been in the last couple years as there were some different kind of scanners that are no longer being manufactured, and people found that camera scanning is a much more efficient way to do slides at a speed rate and things like that. But there is a learning curve and an expense. And the course covers all those costs and things like that. So for instance, my son, who I mentioned, is doing this full time. He decided to jump into it finally full time when I got a call from an old client, because I used to do this until I started running the photo managers, and they had 100 boxes of slides. Their dad had passed away. He was a prolific photographer. And it didn't make any sense to scan 100, that's 8,000 slides with a traditional scanner. And so he invested in the equipment and the course and quickly made back his money on that. But it wasn't until we didn't recommend that until he had that size of a job.
And do you have any suggestions or recommendations about working full-time versus part-time?
Depends on your income goals, I think. So some people, we have a lot of members who are, maybe they call it their second act career. Maybe they retired, but they don't want to be retired. They left their corporate job and they realize, wow, I can make a good side amount of money doing this around my schedule when I want. And then we have other members like Becky up in New Hampshire. She's a full-time single mom without an alimony, with a son, been through a divorce and things like that. And I've watched her really grow a successful business working at full-time. So because she needed to. And so we have quite a few members that need a full-time income, and they approach it a little differently than those that are kind of more looking for what we call a side gig, or maybe $2,000 a month or $1,500. One or two scanning jobs, and maybe a few home movie conversions and a photo book is while they want. And then we have other members who have, we have many members now, more and more, that are having outside offices with employees. So like in San Diego, Chicago, in Baltimore, we have different members, Austin, Texas, Kansas City, where they've actually gone and rented outside office space to manage their growing businesses.
And Todd says that he's been doing a bunch of digitizing of photos and others like VHS, 9mm, etc. Now he just got a first client that wants a hub to consolidate, eliminate, and duplicate, etc. And now trying to figure out the pricing for this. He's asking if the photo managers has access or help with pricing information.
Yes, but it gets a little complicated. A lot of our members will share how they process that. And some people do it based on number of photos that and how many places they're consolidating from. And also some do it based on a time block. So so members share that information quite a bit with each other. And there's still a process. People are still working. We are still a new industry, so there's still a lot of people trying to figure the magic way to do that. But many more and more have. A lot of people have like $1,000 package, a $2,500 package, you know, a $4,000 package, and it's based on if you have this many photos in this many locations, this is how much it'll cost to do that.
And can someone start doing this and just offer photo scanning at first and then offer more services as they learn more?
Yes. So that's, I know I keep using Joshua. That's so funny, but that's all he wants to do. He's now even narrowed it down to home movie conversions, but he's pretty focused on scanning only. A lot of our members outsource. So if you do get a client that wants a photo book done or wants maybe digital photo organizing, you can outsource that to other members. But many people, we always say, do what you love and outsource the rest. So we have some members who have no interest in doing any scanning. All they want to do is digital consolidation and all of that. And we have other members who only want to do that and don't want to do the other, or only want to make photo books. So people kind of find their place.
And is it realistic to start doing this while working another full-time job? This person says that they joined back in the day when we started the photo managers, but life happened and found it difficult to do both. Yeah.
We're a lot different than we were in those days. So it's grown considerably and a lot more, paths to success. I think, from those early days when everybody was new at it. It depends. I think, again, you have to ask yourself, like, what do you want to focus on and how many hours are you willing to put towards that? And then you can schedule a call. Also, you can drop the link in there to schedule a call with me. Some of these questions might be better, like as a one-on-one, I could ask you more questions about how many hours do you work? What are your goals? And I could probably give a better answer. And I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation for 15 minutes with people if you need that.
Yeah, I can put the link for that. For anyone who wants to schedule a call, I'll put a link for that in the chat. The next question is, how much do you pay employees, and can it still be profitable if you need help?
I have learned over the years, and I think most of our members they're scared to death of hiring employees. We do a lot of training on this now because, like, even myself, when I hired Isabel, but I was, like, hiring an employee feels like such a big thing. But the idea that you can't trade, hours for dollars is kind of a saying. So most people start out with a subcontractor. In other words, say you got a big scanning job and your neighbor's son, for $15 an hour or $20 an hour, or a college student, you can just pay them $20 an hour to do the scanning. That would be a kind of a way that a lot of people start. It's considered a subcontractor. They're not an employee. You're just paying them. And then I think there's been more members have had the courage to hire employees for a lot of reasons, set work hours, and there's a lot of training again and HR issues that we work on that. So I didn't want to scare you off when I suggested that, but when people ask me how much they can earn, when I saw that survey, it just made sense to me. And I just hadn't seen it in writing that the members at those higher levels, because we asked that question, do you have subcontractors, employees? The people that were reporting $75,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, most of them were saying, yes, they had subcontractors, employees. And it makes sense because how many hours would they be working to make that kind of money? Or what would they be charging? Unless you live like in LA or, bigger cities, you might not be able to charge $225 or $300 an hour to earn that kind of income.
And another note, we did just recently, last month, had a training specifically on how and when, how and when to hire either employees or subcontractors. And that webinar, which is in the training vault, goes over sort of the right time in your business, when to make that decision, and when it's profitable for you.
If you start to follow like entrepreneur business gurus out there, I think a lot of times they do talk about the importance of thinking, of taking that risk, but it's scary at first. So again, most people aren't hiring anybody for a year or two. You have to you have to have that confidence that you're ready for that. But it's not as scary as many of us thought.
And do photo managers ever create custom DVDs for viewing? And if they do you have any recommendations for programs to use?
One of our breakouts at conferences, Becky, the woman up in New Hampshire, she uses something called Phototopia. I think that's what it's called, where they I can't remember the company that they bought out. I don't have recommendations. There's different programs that people use, but yes, a lot of people do. Not a lot, but a growing, people will, if they want to offer that services, they invest in a product that they get used to using, and then turn around and then charge a good fee because they've become the experts in using that product, and they do a much better job than like somebody throwing something together in iMovie or something like that.
Is there an opportunity for someone to be a subcontractor looking to help photo managers to do some of their work?
We are looking at creating a job board in the next, there's been such a demand for that. We're in the middle of redoing part of our website where we'll be able to put those opportunities up. Right now, it's more just word of mouth. Then we have like kind of a place where people can maybe list, these are the services I'm willing to do. So you can contact a photo manager in your area on your own. If you just go to the certified members will be listed in our directory, and you can certainly contact them to say you're thinking about this and you'd love to learn and maybe do some work for somebody.
Doesn't look like we have any more questions.
Those have been great questions.
One is, how do you find photo managers in the area?
If you go to the photomanagers.com, find a pro, then you can put your city or your state it'll come up, and it'll be a listing of the certified managers in your area. That's when you become certified, and then you become found by our search directory. And then you can click on their name, and they should have their phone number, email address, their website. You can also Google, a photo organizer near me. You might not get many pop up yet. It's still not a common search term, but it's growing again, like I say. So we're, in some ways it's very much, even though we've been doing this for 14 years, it's still a very new industry. And people still say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a thing, but oh my gosh, how smart it is that it is a thing, as opposed to that's a thing and people would pay you for that, which we don't hear that ever anymore.
And do you need to be certified in order to be a subcontractor or help work with another pro?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it would be up to the pro to make that decision, but no, most likely not.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your all your great questions. It's a wonderful, it's an honor and privilege for me to lead this organization, and the hundreds of members that I've become good friends with over the years and watched grow very successful businesses. And at the end of the day, though, we have to remember why we're doing what we're doing. I think that why is so important. And when you're asking family and friends if they'd be interested, make sure you talk about the why, because I joke sometimes the idea of photo organizing is like watching paint dry. I mean, it's not a very sexy concept. It's a word that we use because people understand that, but why are you doing that, right? I'm helping, would you like to have some of your photos shared, tell your family stories and pass down your legacies? Are you interested? Those are the things that people are, then you get people's attention, right? If you could hear your father's voice, how would you feel about that? Recently, my first cousin, who was very close to, died tragically, way too young, at 64. And we went through when we went up there, we took all the boxes of family photos that they had in the boxes and everything. And we've been going through them and then sending the kids, his 3 young adult children who lost their dad way too young, pictures of their dad as a young guy. And they've just been so thankful. And that's the point, right? I mean, it's just like, they are desperate to see those photos of their dad as a young man and all the different things he experienced, and then themselves as children and things. And telling those stories about who was Doug, who was he? That's the heart of this. And so we want to stay focused too on helping people connect with the reason why you're doing this work. And so it's meaningful work, and it makes a difference in people's lives. So on that note, thank you so much, everybody. And if you have questions, I hope to hear from you, and I would love to welcome you to the Photo Managers. Bye-bye, everybody.